Ghosts have somehow moved into my day.
Hello everyone, Pamela Zero here. Welcome to Duck Duck Goose, a podcast about the Visitor series. This episode includes chapters 31 and 32 of the book Osei. Thanks for coming along on Osei's journey. Chapter 31. Near, Dome 1, Thrid. Near padded across the freshly plowed field. He missed Duck. She had left on a great adventure, just like they'd dreamed about, but she'd gone without him. He wanted to call her, but he knew there was nothing to talk about. A grobot whizzed up and whined at him in a thin voice. "Please return to a bipedal walkway. This area is designated for growing. Please return to a bipedal walkway. This area is designated for growing." The dirt felt good, soft under his feet. He stopped in the middle of the field and sat down, then stretched out on his back. The dome arched high above him, the airlock centered at the top. He wished he could float up and out of the dome, magically fly to Punjar and stay on Uncle Osei's estate too. Duck was meeting strange new beings, having all sorts of adventures, and he was stuck here on Thrid. Without her, he didn't know what to do. "Please return to a bipedal walkway. You are prone. Do you require medical attention?" Near got to his feet with a grunt and glared at the grobot. "Reset." The bot spun once and then lowered itself to the ground. "Resetting." He looked around, filled with the absence of Duck. There was no one to go fishing with him, no one to explore with, nobody to look forward to. He kept turning to tell her something, but she wasn't there. His eyes skimmed over the access hole for the underground Thridian bunker. Mayor Maggie had notified the Gristle that the bunker was off limits until the defense team could explore it fully, but she wasn't here anymore. No visitors were on Thrid at all. They had all left to avoid the bounty hunters. Near blinked once, twice, and took off running across the field. He knew exactly what he needed to do. The grobot, still resetting, sputtered a bit. Crawling down his old tunnel that led to the underground bunker, Near noted where the sides were starting to crumble. He hadn't been down here since the big exploration party. The slope was a bit steeper than he remembered, but he made short work of getting to the metal tunnel. He slipped into the echoing corridor, now lit with glow globes and easy to traverse. Signs dotted the curved walls, "Keep out" in both Gristle and Standard, red letters, large and forbidding. Near moved quickly to the double doors of the underground bunker. He pushed hard and swung them inward. If Duck was having an adventure off-planet, he'd have one here. The light switch was where he remembered, high on the wall to the right. He clicked it on, then pressed the rest of the buttons on the panel. There was a distant click. That click meant the doors in the jail hallway were unlocked. He hoped that the same switch opened all the doors in the bunker. Duck wasn't here, but that didn't mean he couldn't explore. He paused. Something was tugging at his mind. There was another locked door somewhere, but he couldn't quite remember where. Back when he'd found this place, he'd tried the other door too, but it wouldn't open. His eyes lit up. He darted back outside and ran down the metal tunnel until he reached the other end. There it was, a locked metal door looming out of the gloom, dusty and ominous. He wondered if it had been unlocked by the same switch that had unlocked the jail cells. He clicked on his comm unit and started recording visuals. Just in case, he thought to himself. There were no glow globes here, and he couldn't see much. He pushed on the door and it swung open slowly, a squeal of old metal against old metal. Near paused. No one knew he was down here. There was no fail-safe plan left to be discovered if he didn't return. He wondered if he should go back to the surface, but then decided to keep going. Duck may never come back to Thrid. It was time for him to have adventures on his own. Both of his hearts pounding, Near stepped into the darkness. Lights flickered on as he crossed the threshold. A dimly lit corridor stretched out before him, the floor slightly dusty. His fur ruffled, and he held up his wrist so his comm unit could get a clear shot. There was a low humming, and he could feel air blowing from vents in the ceiling. Near gave a soft cough to clear his throat, then tested the air with his tongue. A bit stale, but breathable. He dropped to all fours and started running, covering ground quickly, keeping his head tilted up, his eyes fixed on the furthest point possible. Why would the Thridians make such a long, empty corridor with no doors? Near kept tabs on the smells around him, but they remained the same. The corridor started curving slightly to the right. After a few minutes of running, he shifted to a two-legged jog, reminding himself to stay alert. He wondered if Duck was having more exciting adventures than he was. There was something up ahead. He slowed to a walk and extended his claws. A large lever was embedded in the wall, next to tracks running down the corridor, stretching ahead like a pair of metal snakes slithering into the distance. A pile of track pieces sat in a heap to one side, along with what looked like drilling equipment. Maybe they just didn't get the track finished. He panned his comm unit around, getting a clear recording. He put his hand on the lever, but stopped short of moving it. What if it shut off the lights, or locked him in? He dialed Duck on his comm unit. He wasn't quite sure if he could make calls this far below ground, but there was a click from his comm, and he heard her clear voice ringing through the still air. "Near, are you fishing? I'm hiding behind bushes trying to see the hound puppies." "No, I am on an adventure," said Near. "There is a mysterious lever, but I'm not sure if I should use it. Here, I'll send you what I'm seeing." He spun around slowly, showing Duck the tracks and lever. "Wow, where do the tracks lead?" Duck's voice shifted to a whisper. "Are you in the bunker?" "I'm in the door opposite the bunker. There was a long hallway with nothing, and then I found this lever." "Did you make a fail-safe?" asked Duck. "No," said Near. "I don't have anyone to send it to that would understand." "Send it to me," said Duck. "I'll tell your parents if you don't get back when you say. Near, you always need a fail-safe. Otherwise it's not a proper adventure." Near nodded. "Okay, I will be back above ground in 2 hours. If not, you can call my parents. I'm going to pull the lever and see what happens." He paused. "Can we keep talking?" "Yes," said Duck, her voice loud. "We're having an adventure together on separate planets." Muffled sounds came from Near's comm unit. He assumed Duck was doing cartwheels, her usual reaction when joy overtook her. He waited until he heard her breath on the line again. "Okay, I'm gonna pull it." Near reached out and moved the lever down. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. "Give it a minute. Sometimes levers take time," said Duck. He felt a small build in air pressure coming from the hallway ahead. A low rumbling built in the distance, and Near saw a square shape trundling towards him, rolling along the tracks. "What's that sound, Near?" asked Duck. Near turned his comm unit to show the box moving towards him. "Oh, it's a train! You found train tracks!" said Duck. The object came closer. It was more of an empty box than anything else, large and bulky. He watched as it rolled to a stop at the end of the tracks, gave a loud beep, then flipped a sidewall down to make a ramp. "Where does it go?" asked Duck. "I don't know. I will check." Near started down the corridor at a jog, swerving around the ramp. There was a beep behind him, and he glanced back to see the box had swung its ramp up and was now following him, rumbling along the track. "The train is following me." He stopped and let it catch up. It beeped and then flipped its side down into a ramp again. With a shrug, he climbed on board. There were no seats, and 10 of him could have fit into the scarred metal box. He could see over the walls, but just barely. He panned his comm unit around the interior. Duck's voice came softly through the comm. "Is it slimy? Or sticky?" "No, just metal," replied Near. "Okay then. Are there any buttons?" asked Duck. "Nope." He looked around for a switch or a lever, but there was nothing. Finally, he noticed a small, round protrusion on the floor of the cart. He stepped on it. With a jolt, the car flipped up its ramp and started forward. It moved slowly, rocking a bit from side to side, rattling. "You're moving! Wow! Is it fun?" asked Duck, her voice breathless. "It is interesting. I am moving faster than I can walk, but slower than I can run." Near pointed his comm unit down the hall before him. He felt his nose twitch. Something different was ahead, something that smelled old. His claws slowly extended, and he crouched low in the box. He raised his paws, one closer, one further, and steadied himself. He was glad Duck had taught him how to get ready for battle. She had taught him a lot. How to fight like a visitor, how to have adventures, how to explore, how to be curious, how to be a friend, how to lean on people and be leaned on, how to be brave even if you were alone in a box rolling down a track. No, not alone, not with Duck on the comm. Duck? Yes? Thank you. The pleasure has been all of mine, she replied. Near held his comm unit up over the edge of the cart. Can you see anything? The hallway, and then it ends, and there are double doors. He stood up slowly. The box kept rolling and he braced himself as it approached the doors. The doors swung open as his cart approached, and he rolled through into a large room filled with display cases. The box stopped and the ramp flipped down. Near slowly exited the cart, the fur on his arm standing on edge. The room was big, with a domed ceiling and a hatch set into the very top. Circling the outer walls were large glass cases with clothing displayed inside, interspersed with an occasional set of double doors. The arched walls were stone, the cases metal. More displays dotted the middle area of the room, low glass cases filled with objects. Near cautiously approached one and ran a paw over the surface to clear the dust. Inside was a small rectangle, nearly flat, about the size of his palm. It seemed inert. Next to it were some wires attached to small discs. He had no idea what the thing was, but a small sign, written in a language he guessed was Thridian, was in the corner of the display. Near! Near! Duck's voice was faint, distant. He realized he was holding his comm at his side. Duck couldn't see a thing. He held it up, showing her the room, then the item into the display case. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff here. That's a phone! And buds! This is visitor stuff! Duck's voice sounded excited. Near moved around the room, peering into the cases. According to Duck's joyful explanations, there were keys, books, shoes, wallets, purses, glasses, all small items, all part of the visitors' daily lives back on Earth, carefully displayed. It's a museum, said Near. A visitor museum. Duck was silent. Duck? They took our stuff and made a museum. That's not right. We needed our stuff. Her voice lowered, became fierce, each consonant articulated clearly. When I get back to Thrid, I'm gonna rescue everything and give everyone their stuff back. Near nodded. He didn't know what to say that would make her feel better. He looked around, wondering what he could talk about that wouldn't make things worse. Duck, the tracks keep going, out another door. I'm gonna see where they go next. Okay, watch out for ravenous heffalumps. He still wasn't sure what ravenous heffalumps were, but Duck and Auntie Fran warned each other about them now and then. He moved with conscious caution to the rolling box and got on board, then stomped on the starting button. The doors on the opposite wall opened and the cart flipped up its ramp. Near rolled out of the museum, comfortable now with the motion of the cart. He found himself in another white, featureless hall. Lights turned on in succession, and the box moved forward at the same deliberate pace. He kept his comm up so Duck could see. Hey Duck, do you see that? Up ahead, on the wall. A wide green stripe appeared on the right-hand wall about shoulder height. After a few minutes he saw a rectangle above the line, with Thridian writing below. He tried stepping on the floor bump and the cart stopped. He got out. Duck, it's a picture. He held his comm up. An image of a woman was plastered on the wall. She wore a simple blue dress, navy blue, torn at the shoulder. Near. Oh, Near. Duck's voice caught. It's a visitor. That's Auntie Suzanne. She got pulled through really late. He moved closer, looking carefully. This was one of Duck's people. The woman was leaning back against a metal wall as if she could barely stand. Her eyes were wide, unseeing. Her hands were clenched into fists. One more forward, one more back. He looked down the tunnel. More rectangles, more pictures spaced along the wall ahead. He focused his comm on the writing below the line. Hold on. Keep looking at that writing. Duck's voice wavered, then steadied. Okay, my teachbot says it's a date in Thridian, about 3 cycles ago. Near nodded. Maybe that was the date she got here, in this time. Maybe, said Duck. Keep going. We need to see all the pictures. Record all the dates. Near walked down the corridor, letting his comm unit pan across the images, pausing at each one to make sure the date was clear. Each date was a bit earlier than the one before. The box wobbled behind him, rolling when he moved, stopping and flipping down the ramp when he stopped. He took his time, letting his comm record every picture. Image after image, visitor after visitor, some wounded, others terrified, all of them exhausted. All adults, their eyes pleading, angry, frightened, blank. Up against walls, sprawled on the floor, seated in corners. A few were on tables hooked up to machines. Some were in fighting stances, others had their heads bowed. One image showed a man mid-leap, heading straight for the camera, his face a rictus of pain and anger. The lights overhead grew dimmer as he moved down the corridor, and the box cart stopped following him at one point. Duck, the images end up ahead. Near tried to keep his voice even. I recognize a lot of these people. They live here, in Dome 1. Yeah, I think the pictures we saw at the beginning were the last people pulled through, she replied. The most recent. Maybe we're getting close to the first people that got yanked forward. He paused. Duck, are we going to discover the first? I mean, do we want to? Know who it is? His comm was silent. For a moment he panicked. Was she gone? Was he alone down here? Then her voice came through the comm, steady and sure. We want to know. Knowing is always better. And Near, you are an hour in, so you need to turn around at the last image and go back or you'll miss your fail-safe time. Okay, the lights are dimmer here, so we should come back with brighter ones anyway. He looked carefully at the next image. It was Uncle David slumped in a corner, his arm sheltering his head, a pen in his hand. After that came Uncle Paolo's picture. He was in a dim room on the floor, unconscious. Auntie Maggie was next, her back in a corner, a bruise on her cheek. Then Mama too, her hair piled on her head, her shoulders back. She was defiant, staring down whoever was taking the picture. There were only 2 pictures left. Near walked slowly to the next one. It was Duck. She was on a table looking like she was taking a nap. Peaceful, except there were all kinds of machines around her and tubes snaking into her arms and legs. Near wanted to cry, but he was 7 now, too old for crying. He heard a soft sound from his comm, then Duck's voice, strangled with sobs. I don't look very good, do I? Near wished he could fly to Duck's side to comfort her. He wished he'd never come down here, never tried to go on an adventure. All he had done was make his best friend cry. I'm sorry, Duck. I didn't know. I'll go back now. No, she said, her voice still tight with tears. No, we have to see the first. We have to see the picture. Near moved to the final image. It was Auntie Fran, crouched in front of what looked like glowing red bars of light. She didn't look like herself. Her hair was brownish red, and she looked normal, not gaunt or wild-haired. Her eyes were focused, intent. Her hands flexed on the floor as if she was ready to spring. Auntie Fran, said Near. Sadness welled up in him. Poor Auntie Fran. Everyone in the service was hunting her. Sooner or later, they'd figure out she was the first, and then her life would be really bad. Near, listen. We have to keep this secret, all of it. The museum, Auntie Fran, everything, said Duck. Can you pull the pictures down? He tried to find the edge of the image, but it was plastered tightly to the wall. No, it's stuck there for good, but Duck, hey, I know this is bad news for Auntie Fran, and I'm very sorry for her, but I'm glad for you, said Near. You're not the first. No one will hunt you or experiment on you. You're safe, Duck. Duck's voice was small and thin over the comm. I know, but I wish there wasn't a first at all. She blew her nose loudly. Mama too calls feelings like this bittersweet. It's sour 'cause Auntie Fran is the first, but it's sweet 'cause I'm not. It's okay, Duck. It'll be okay, he said. Auntie Fran is strong and she'll be all right. Will she, Near? Asked Duck. The service is looking for her and they're all over the galaxy. Maybe I should tell her she's the first, but then she'll know, and that might be worse. I wish I could help, but I don't know how, he said. Find a way to get rid of the pictures, said Duck. Someone else on Thrid might be an explorer, too. Near nodded to himself. I will figure out how to remove them. He pressed a few buttons on his comm. I just sent you a copy of my adventure recording, in case you decide to tell someone. You might need proof. I got it, said Duck. Okay, said Near. I'm walking back out now. Duck stayed on the line with him as he walked back to the train car, then rode it all the way back to the end of the tracks. They chatted about fish they had caught, Near's new apprenticeship, anything but Auntie Fran being the first. When Near finally closed the metal door behind him, he breathed in with relief. I'm safe outside now, Duck. Thank you for coming with me on my adventure. Okay, Near. You are welcome. I'm safe here too. Chapter 32. Duck, the Estate, Punjar. Duck sat at the center of the maze. There were benches all around the circular space, with a statue of a big hound in the middle. She wasn't sure what to do. Auntie Fran was the first. The maze was silent, the leaves of the huge hedges still in the late afternoon sun. Duck was crying. Her body was distant, like her mind had wandered away from it. Drops splattered on her lap. Maybe she was crying Auntie Fran's tears. She looked at the benches that circled the central statue, her eyes ticking over details, her mind a whirlwind. She wiped her face on her sleeve and noticed that the fabric was unraveling at the edges. Uncle Ose kept offering to get her a new dress. Maybe she should, a shorter one with no sleeves, so her skin suit could show more. She could let her colors show, red, yellow, green, blue. Everyone would see them and think that she was the first, and then Auntie Fran would be safe. Off the hook, Duck whispered softly to herself. She wasn't sure what to do next. Her stomach twisted. If she told Auntie Fran, then the weight of her secret would be shared. But then Auntie Fran had to live with all that pressure on top of her, all that weight. Duck's gaze rose up to the quiet eyes of the hound statue. What should I do? She asked it. You should do what is right, keeping compassion in mind, said a voice behind her. She stood up and turned around. It was Uncle Si. He was smiling, carrying a picnic basket in one hand and a bunch of flowers in the other. Uncle Si, you're here. Duck looked down at the ground. She could feel her secret burning inside her. She wondered if it was leaking out, like when one of Strix's pots boiled over. You all right, Duck? Asked Si, his voice gentle. Anything I can help with? He put the basket down on one of the benches and offered her the flowers. She looked at the flowers but didn't take them. They were pretty. Nice things meant good times, and this was not a good time. I am experiencing a difficult moment, she said, her voice shifting into an imitation of her mother. I have to make big choices and I am unsure how to proceed. Do you have someone you can talk to? Someone you can trust? He asked. She nodded yes. then no. I do, but they are in the middle of things. Auntie Fran was smack dab in the middle of the problem, and Mama too was always too busy. Cy sat on one of the benches. I'm happy to offer my own advice if it's helpful. Of course, I'm likely to advise eating something and then sleeping before trying to solve your problem. Duck smiled through the remains of her tears. Noodles and a nap. Exactly, said Cy. In fact, I have some food here. Cy put the flowers on the bench beside him and opened the basket. I was hoping to surprise your Uncle Osei with my return, but he's nowhere to be found. As a penalty for his lack of presence, we shall eat this glorious picnic without him. Peering into the basket, Duck sat down next to Cy. He handed her a small ball of what looked like bread. Try this. She took the ball and gingerly bit into it. A puff of spice floated up, warm and comforting, and she tasted something fruity. Uncle Cy, what do you do with your secrets? Do you keep them hidden? It depends. Sometimes secrets hurt people if they're kept buried deep. Sometimes secrets help if they stay out of sight. He pulled a canister of soup out of the basket and poured some into a cup. One has to ask if a secret hurts or helps. He offered the cup to her. Duck popped the rest of the fruit-filled ball into her mouth and took the soup. Mama too says secrets keep people safe and warm and alive. Cy's hand slowed as he screwed the top back on the canister. His words came out quiet, deliberate. That can be true. It's hard to know when to stay silent and when to speak. I try to tell people secrets if the information is very important. His eyes seemed sad to Duck. He had looked happy when he found her, but now he seemed worried. Maybe he was not a good person to talk to about secrets. I should probably tell someone, she said, more to herself than him. Uncle Cy leaned forward. Duck, listen closely to me. If your secret is about the visitors, keep it safe. Only tell Mama too or another visitor. Don't tell me or Uncle Osei or anyone that is not a visitor. He sat back and let out a slow breath. Duck nodded. Uncle Cy was right. She sipped her soup, letting the tangy, slightly bitter liquid slide down her throat. Thank you, she said softly. The knot in her stomach finally unclenched. She needed to talk to Auntie Fran. He smiled, but it didn't seem to reach his eyes. You are welcome. Now, shall we try calling Uncle Osei again? Maybe he'll pick up this time. Duck smiled back, trying to make her eyes happy. It was difficult, so she squeezed them shut tightly so all her worry would stay inside. She finished her soup and placed the cup gently on the bench. Now that she had decided to tell Auntie Fran, she couldn't wait. You should call Uncle Osei. I'm going to go look at the hounds. She waved to him and walked slowly away, placing her feet carefully so as to not disturb his call. He gave a small wave back and then focused on his comm unit. The green walls of the maze felt taller, and the long, winding walk out of the maze seemed like it was going to take forever. Duck called Auntie Fran when she thought she was far enough not to be overheard by Uncle Cy. Duck, duck, goose! Auntie Fran, I am in the maze. Where are you? I have important news. I'm with the hounds. There are puppies. You should come and see them. Duck paused. The hounds were very large and stared at her as if she were a snack sometimes. Okay, can they understand what we're saying? I'm not sure, answered Auntie Fran. They might. Want to meet somewhere else? By the big tree with the red leaves? Yes, big tree, red leaves meeting. Duck hung up and picked up her pace. Her shoulders straightened as she navigated her way out of the maze. Duck headed straight for the red leaf tree. She spotted Auntie Fran from a distance, her black skin suit stark against the white trunk of the tree. Duck's secret suddenly bubbled in her stomach, swelling up through her chest, leaking out in tears. She ran to her aunt and threw her arms around her. Duck, honey, what is it? Fran kneeled and took Duck's face in her hands. I have a secret, sobbed Duck. A big one, and I have to tell you, but then you'll know. Right now you don't know and the world is good, but after I tell you, everything will change and you can't go back. You can't unknow it. Fran sat down and pulled Duck into her lap, holding her close. Tell me. Duck pressed her face into Fran's shoulder. Near went into the other side of the bunker this morning and he found pictures of the visitors and they were in order of when everyone came through and your picture is the first one to come through and you're the first. Fran was still. Are you sure? Is Near sure? Her voice was a whisper. Holding her comm unit so Auntie Fran could see it, Duck played Near's video, starting near the end of the trip. See the Thridian writing under the picture? Those are dates. They get earlier and earlier. Fran was silent as the screen showed Eleanor, then Duck, then herself. Her eyes closed for a moment and then opened, filled with tears. Oh, Duck. She swallowed hard. Thank you for telling me. A slow smile bloomed on her face. Duck lifted her head in surprise. It looked like a real smile. You're happy? Nodding, Fran broke into a grin, tears sliding slowly down her face. I am happy. If I'm the first, that it means you are not. Mama too is not. Auntie Maggie is not. She half laughed, half sobbed. You're safe, Duck. Everyone I love is safe. Fran, the estate, Punjar. Fran stood in the main kitchen watching Duck work at the huge table in the center. They had found their way here after talking under the red tree for over an hour. The little girl's eyes were still puffy from crying. Strix was showing Duck how to stuff dumplings. So far, Duck had mostly torn the wrappers, but the head cook was patient. Fran was lightheaded. She was the first. The bustle in the kitchen as the staff prepared the evening meal suddenly seemed overwhelming. Too many voices and eyes, too many people. Her throat felt tight and she forced herself to breathe. Duck, honey, are you going to be all right here for a bit? Asked Fran. I need to head out. I'm good. Duck looked up at Fran, trying for a smile. I'm doing small things. Small things are best when the rest of the world is large, said Fran. Will you keep close to the main house for a while? I will feel better if I know where you are. Yes, said Duck evenly. Her eyes lit up for a moment. Auntie Fran, you forgot. What did I forget? My present! My 7th birthday present! You said it was too big to wrap. Duck put a small spoonful of filling into a wrapper and then peered at it. Fran caught her breath. Duck's present. Well, I thought you could use some dirt. Dirt is glorious. Duck tried to pick up one corner of the dumpling wrapper, but only managed to squish it. But you can wrap dirt easily, you know. In a box. Or a bag. She looked expectantly at Fran. Ah, yes, well, this dirt is too large to wrap. Fran pulled out her comm unit and pulled up a map of Dome 2. See this area in Dome 2? Between the river and the grove? There's a square kilometer there, and it's all yours. She zoomed in on the map to show a highlighted bit of land, with a label reading, Duck's Astounding Adventure Area. There should be enough land there to hold your attention for a bit. You can dig for now, and later you can build if you want. But this spot is yours. She paused and swallowed the sudden lump in her throat. Back when she talked to Maggie about giving Duck some land of her own, Fran had imagined Duck exploring it with Near. The two children would build a ramshackle clubhouse or maybe dig a network of tunnels, and then they'd invite Fran over to see their handiwork and share the adventure. Fran's breath grew shallow, and she struggled to keep from tearing up. That might not be possible anymore. Duck looked at the highlighted land on the map and beamed. Auntie Fran, thank you. It's beautiful. Near is going to be so excited. We can make a tunnel maze, and maybe we can make a garden and dig a stream out from the river. Duck rattled on, plans bubbling up from her, the dumplings forgotten. You are quite welcome. Fran smiled and hugged her, then reached to flip the wrapper over the dumpling. I'll be back in a bit. Duck nodded. Stay safe and warm. Safe and warm. Fran walked out of the kitchen quickly. She stopped once she was outside and took a deep breath. Everything was changing, but the feeling inside her was familiar. The sense of heightened awareness, of living each moment because the next second is not guaranteed. The fear and the endless worry, the ache in her heart. She let her feet take her wherever they wanted to go. Nowhere was truly safe anymore. Her mind tried to shy away from what would happen when the service discovered she was the first, but she gritted her teeth and made herself think about it. She needed to be clear about what was at stake. Her freedom, her control over her own life, maybe even her life itself. It might take them a while, but sooner or later the service would find out. They would do whatever it took to fulfill the prophecy, including kidnapping her or others that she loved to put pressure on her. A wave of panic washed through her. She needed to gather her things from her room and leave. Her presence here endangered her family. Osei and his family, everyone on the estate. It put everyone she loved at risk. Her stride quickened, and she walked blindly, tears leaking down her face. The sound of water birds cooing filtered into her awareness. She had stumbled upon the lake house. It stood empty on the south shore of the lake, balconies filigreed, diamond-paned windows glowing in the sunset, as if waiting patiently for a party, a tenant, any kind of life. She watched the shore birds swoop and dive into the water, and felt a bit of calm steal back into her heart. Whatever happened next, this moment was hers. Before the other visitors knew, maybe before she had to think of everyone else's safety, before she had to leave this estate and the people she loved, she'd take a moment. She sat down slowly on the front steps of the house and stared out at the glimmering waters of the lake. Maybe they could hide the timeline, destroy it. She could stay with the people she loved. There was already one family, her Earth family, lost and aching in her heart. How could she leave her new one without at least trying to find another way out? Maybe the images were not actually in date order. Maybe she wasn't really the first. Maybe Duck and Near were wrong. A sob escaped her. She knew. She knew she was the first. Ever since the day in the cave under the temple, more than a cycle ago, when she had reached for Duck inside the source, trying to save her. A lot of time had passed since then, but she could still feel the burning on her skin, the awareness that she was dissolving, merging with the source. The prophecy wasn't some half-baked con that the service was trying to scam the galaxy with. It was real. She bent her head and wept. Her comm unit beeped loud and sharp. It was David, probably full of plans for the defense team's next steps. A pang shot through her at the thought of the team. She would have to leave it, leave everyone. Shaking her head, she let David's call ring into her messages. Fran sat on the steps of the lake house and watched the sun sink below the horizon. It was a big galaxy. There was plenty of room for her to disappear. But maybe for now, maybe for tonight, she'd stay just Fran, have dinner with her family, pack during the night and slip away at dawn. Her tears slowed. At least this time she was choosing to leave her family. It was a different kind of hurt. She wasn't being yanked from her husband and child, pulled forward into an alien future without her consent. Leaving her loved ones this time was a choice made for their safety. There was reason behind doing so. There was some sort of strange logic to it. She was going to miss Duck. Thank you for listening to Osei, Book 2 of the Visitor series. Osei was written by Pamela Zero. This podcast was recorded and edited by Pamela Zero. The song Ghosts was written, sung, and produced by Pamela Zero. Background music is called Insight, and it's by Megan Wofford. Osei is available in paperback on Amazon. Please be sure to like and subscribe and visit thevisitorseries.com for more info. Thanks, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.